Blind Girl revealed as incredible inspiration after Stepmother's Heartless act at Market Part 1. Emma stood at the entrance of the farmer's market, where the vibrant colors of fresh produce mingled with the sweet smells of pastries. In her world of darkness, the bustling sounds became her guide. People laughed, shouted greetings, and exchanged stories, their warmth wrapping around her like a favorite blanket. But beneath that joyful surface, a storm stirred within her heart, fueled by her stepmother Julie, who had exited the market with a frustrated slam of the door, leaving Emma standing still in a crowd that swirled like a river around her. Once a tight-knit family, Emma's household had transformed into a battlefield of silent grievances since her mother passed. With a flick of her wrist and a bitter word, Julie had made it clear how she felt about Emma: a burden, a reminder of loss. Emma's father, Tom, struggled to juggle work and grief, but every time he looked at her, his determination to keep their bond alive shone through, even if it felt like a flickering candle in a blustery storm. As Emma shuffled through the market, she felt her heart pound heavily in her chest. She often relied on the familiar textures of her environment, guiding her like an invisible hand. Today, however, that sense of comfort slipped away. She could feel people brushing past, their hurried movements and hushed voices sending shockwaves of panic spiraling within her. "Sweetheart." Tom's voice broke through the chaos, a lifeline amidst the overwhelming crowd. But before he could reach her, a cruel twist of fate turned Emma's world even darker. The bitter laughter of Julie rang in her ears, the words cutting deep. "She can't even take care of herself," she had scoffed, walking away and leaving Emma abandoned, overshadowed by the market's vibrant life. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." The betrayal stung like a bee, leaving Emma paralyzed. Tears threatened to spill over, but she couldn't afford to be weak, not now. And slowly, unexpected voices began to emerge from the crowd. Friendly neighbors reached out, guiding her gently, their compassion cascading around her like a warm embrace. "Emma, over here." Their calls swept through the air like a soothing balm, knitting her heart back together. Days passed, and as autumn leaves painted the town in golden hues, Emma gathered courage. At the Veterans Fundraiser, she stepped onto the makeshift stage, her voice quivering. "I might be blind, but I see more than you'd think." Silence fell, pierced by genuine connection. People in the crowd leaned in, hanging on to every word of her story. The moment felt electric, a shift not only in Emma but in everyone around her. Her vulnerability transformed the atmosphere, igniting a spark of strength in others, a collective understanding that flourished in support. Yet, at the edge of the crowd, Julie's eyes narrowed with jealousy. Emma could sense it, a cold shadow lurking behind her blooming confidence. As Emma stood poised to reclaim her narrative, a choice loomed tall and daunting. Would she fight for herself against the antagonism or allow the shadows of betrayal to suffocate her hope? Her heart raced, and as her father took her arm, they faced the rift forming around them, the town's decision hanging in the air like ripe fruit ready to be harvested. Emma held her breath, ready to leap into a storm of uncertainty, where acceptance and love battled against judgment and rejection. Would the hearts around her embrace a girl who fought through darkness, or would they turn away? As Emma's heartbeat echoed in her ears, the silence around her clung heavily, making every breath feel like a dare. She could feel the warmth of her father's presence beside her, grounding her amid the swirling uncertainty. The faces in the crowd blurred into an impression of concern and curiosity, but within that haze, she felt a flicker of determination ignite. "Just breathe, sweetheart," Tom whispered, his voice a soothing anchor. The words reached Emma and wrapped around her heart, silencing the nervous chatter that threatened to drown her. There was love there, a bond forged through shared sorrow and strength. As she opened her mouth to speak again, a sudden gust of wind swept through the market, rustling the leaves overhead. A moment of stillness followed, a chance to collect herself. Emma waited, allowing the moment to stretch, drawing in the sounds around her. Children played, vendors called out their wares, and crickets chirped softly as the day began to fade. Then, as if conducting an orchestra, she felt a wave of connection ripple back from the audience. A young mother stepped forward, her baby bundled tightly against her chest. "Emma, your story, it touches all of us," she called out, her voice flooding with sincerity. "You inspire us to see with our hearts." At that moment, something shifted within Emma. The shadows cast by Julie's harsh words began to shrink. She took a breath, feeling the air fill her lungs as a spark of hope ignited in her chest. "Thank you," she said softly, her voice finding strength. "I may not see the world like you do, but I feel it. I feel every moment, and I want to share that." With each sentence, the confidence grew, pushing aside the past that had chained her. Emma spoke of her mother, the memories that both haunted and fueled her. "She taught me that love comes in many forms. Even when faced with darkness, we must reach for the light, wherever it shines." The crowd shifted, moving closer, drawn into her words. The connection deepened as she shared stories of moments that turned ordinary days into reminders of beauty, the feel of sunshine on her skin, the sound of wind chimes dancing on porches, the laughter of children playing in nearby yards. Her words wrapped around those listening, weaving an invisible thread that joined them together. As she spoke, she cast a glance over to Julie. The stepmother stood firm, arms crossed, a mixture of irritation and something else swirling in her gaze. Doubt? Regret? Emma couldn't be sure, but she resolved to focus on the warmth coming from the crowd. "Let us embrace our stories," Emma continued, her voice rising with passion. "Let us lift each other, no matter how dark it gets. We are not alone in our struggles." As the last words left her lips, a thunderous applause erupted from the crowd, enveloping her in a wave of acceptance. Tears streamed down her face, not from sadness but from the realization of belonging. In that moment, the love she craved poured in freely, mingling with the laughter that filled the air, but as joy filled her heart, a whisper of unease brushed against her consciousness. Would this moment be enough to change how Julie felt? Would her stepmother still see her as a burden, or could this newfound strength create a bridge between them? The applause faded, and amid the smiles, Emma searched the crowd for a sign. Redemption? Acceptance? Just as she began to relax, she spotted Julie moving through the people, her expression unreadable. A knot of anxiety tightened in Emma's stomach. What would come next? Would her stepmother confront her, shatter this beautiful moment, or could she reveal a surprising transformation? Emma's courage steadied her, but the stirring uncertainty loomed larger. As she prepared for whatever awaited her, the crowd around her buzzed with energy, a collective breath held in anticipation. The stage was set. What would the next act of Emma's life reveal? The crowd's applause faded into a hush, leaving Emma standing at the center of that circle of mixed emotions, warmth and uncertainty swirling like leaves in an autumn breeze. She searched the sea of faces, looking for understanding, connection, something that might fill the void she felt tugging at her heart, and there was Julie. The distance between them seemed like a chasm, filled with unspoken words and unresolved feelings. Emma could see the tension in her stepmother's posture, the way her jaw clenched, as if she was weighing the gravity of this moment against her own reservations. All the stories and the love Emma had just shared hung in the air like heavy fog. Would Julie embrace them, or would she let them slip away into nothingness? "Emma," Julie finally said, her voice breaking through the silence. It was barely more than a whisper, yet it reached Emma's ears like a strike of thunder. "Can we talk?" In the depths of Emma's heart, a pang of fear rushed through her veins. Talk. Was this a conversation of confrontation or one of clarity? Suddenly, a spotlight illuminated a path between them, and Emma knew she had to take it. As she stepped down from the small platform, the once inviting crowd began to shift, creating a makeshift pathway toward Julie. Emma's heartbeat quickened, the steady rhythm now a chaotic drum. What would she say? Bursting confessions, yearning for acceptance, or guarded words of defiance? Go ahead, whispered Tom gently, nudging her forward with encouragement. Emma took one last glance at the crowd faces that had just embraced her, faces that now seemed to hold their breath for the next act. She felt the warmth of their support wrap around her, and it stirred a flame of hope that pushed away some of her fear. As she approached Julie, Emma saw her stepmother's eyes soften, the stormy intensity giving way to something softer: vulnerability. I didn't mean. Julie hesitated, glancing down as if grappling with her thoughts. I didn't mean to hurt you, Emma. The word struck Emma harder than any potential criticism. They were raw, exposing a glimpse of the woman behind the steely facade. But caution still gripped the edges of Emma's heart. Then why did you say those things? Emma countered, her own voice trembling between anger and a desperate need for understanding. Why would you want me to hide? I thought. Julie's voice was tight, her eyes darting around the gathered crowd. I thought I was protecting you. I wanted to keep you safe. But I don't know how to do that. I didn't know how to be a stepmother. The admission hung heavy in the air. In that moment, Emma saw not only the woman who had tried to push her away but also a human, struggling with her own fears and inadequacies. It broke through the wall Emma had built, even if just a crack. Julie, I'm not perfect. I'll never be able to fit into anyone's idea of normal. But that doesn't mean I don't want to be seen or loved, Emma said gently. Their eyes locked, and for the first time, there was a flicker of understanding, a faint light in their shared darkness, but even as the tension softened, Emma's heart felt the pull of uncertainty. Could this conversation truly be the bridge she hoped for, or was it simply another prelude to the misunderstandings they had faced before? Just as the crowd began to stir, buzzing with whispered speculation, Julie took a tentative step closer. Can we try again? She asked softly, a plea wrapped in vulnerability. Emma's heart raced as she considered the question. Could she trust this moment to be a turning point? Or would it complicate everything even further? The future loomed before her, full of possibility, but also filled with questions. Would she take the risk of allowing Julie to step into her world, or would she retreat, guarding the heart that had fought so hard to be seen? As they stood on the precipice of a new beginning, Emma realized she was faced with a choice that could change everything. What would she decide? Would she let down her defenses, or would she hold on to the pain of the past? The air thickened with tension, and all around her, the community watched, waiting. Emma took a breath, a mix of hope and fear swirling in her chest. She felt the weight of everyone's gaze on her, but in that moment, it was just her and Julie. Time seemed to freeze, and all the past hurt buzzed in the silence between them like an unspoken promise and a haunting regret. Can we really? Emma whispered, her own voice fragile yet filled with yearning. Julie nodded, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. I want to understand you, Emma. I didn't mean to push you away. I thought I was protecting you, but I see now. I see how wrong I was. The sincerity in her stepmother's words thawed a part of Emma's heart that had been encased in frost for too long. They both stood at the crossroads. An opportunity to reshape their relationship lay ahead like unpaved road waiting to be traveled. With a tentative step, Emma closed the distance between them. She felt vulnerable, yet there was a strange comfort in being so open. What if we fail again? What if this is just another moment before it all falls apart? The fears spilled out, raw and unedited. Julie shook her head gently, her expression resolute. We can't predict the future, Emma. But I'm willing to try, one step at a time. You've already shown so much strength, maybe we can be strong together. A flicker ignited within Emma. The idea of partnership, of shared strength, felt almost impossible yet incredibly inviting. What if they could actually support each other? The crowd had faded away, leaving just the two of them in a world where the possibilities seemed endless. I want that, Emma admitted, her chest tightening with hope. But it's going to take time. Trust doesn't just rebuild itself overnight. I know, Julie replied, her voice steady. But let's make a promise to communicate, to really listen. I've spent so long running on fear, and I can't do that anymore. This time, let us promise to speak our truth, even when it's hard." The tremor in Julie's hands shattered the last remnants of Emma's doubt. Here was a woman willing to break her own defenses. With a trembling smile, Emma took a small leap of faith, grasping her stepmother's hands. They felt warm, comforting, a fragile but welcoming connection. "Okay," Emma said softly. "Let us try together." The crowd around them stirred, the tension ebbing as soft murmurs of approval rose into the air. The warmth from these supportive voices wrapped around the two women, an embrace of encouragement. Emma glimpsed Tom in the distance, nodding proudly, and she felt a little spark of exhilaration. Maybe this wasn't just the beginning of questioning, but of a new kind of healing. But just as Emma began to feel the buoyancy of hope, a distant voice cut through the moment. "Hey! What's taking so long?" It was Sarah, one of her closest friends, a familiar teasing tone echoing through the crowd. Even amidst the heaviness, a laugh bubbled up within Emma, breaking the tension like the first blush of dawn spilling across a dark sky. As she turned in Sarah's direction, a thought flashed through her mind. They might be beginning to untangle that complicated web of misunderstandings, but would the rest of the world be ready to accept this new chapter they were writing together? With one last look at Julie, Emma felt the thrill of uncertainty ripple through her. Can we really do this? Can we face everything that's coming together? And as the crowd leaned in, eager to witness the transformation unfolding in front of them, she realized that the true story was just beginning. Emma felt the laughter bubbling inside her chest as she turned back to Sarah, relief washing over her. It was a clash of emotions, joy mingled with the weight of honesty that had just been shared. The crowd, still buzzing with anticipation, seemed to hold its breath, sensing the pivotal moment unfolding between them. "You know how it is, Sarah," Emma quipped, trying to lighten the mood. "Getting deep and existential here. Just a typical family reunion." The laughter that followed felt good, it was a balm for the raw edges of their conversation. Emma could feel Julie's hand still resting in hers, a lifeline amidst the chaos. All right," Sarah replied, her grin infectious. "But you two better not be having a breakthrough without me. I want in on this therapy session." As the group around them shifted, Emma could see familiar faces, friends who had stood by her, relatives whose expectations felt like heavy stones. Was she ready to let them witness this new equation of vulnerability between herself and Julie? It was a thought that stirred something deep within her, a mixture of excitement and apprehension. "Are you okay?" Julie's voice came soft, pulling Emma back to the moment. "I think so. I feel like I've taken my first step into a much bigger world," Emma admitted, glancing around at the smiling faces, curious about how they would see her now. Julie squeezed her hand gently, reinforcing their connection. "Then let us take those steps together," she replied, her voice steady and strong, but there was a flicker in her eyes that hinted at her own fears. The realization hit Emma like a wave. This wouldn't just affect them. All eyes were on them now, and the complexity of their relationship was laid bare for everyone to witness. The potential for judgment loomed, but so did the possibility of acceptance. Could their truth resonate with others? Could they inspire others to confront their own fears? "Hey, how about we celebrate this epiphany with ice cream?" Sarah chirped, breaking the tension again. "You two can tell me all about your feelings while I pig out." "A brilliant idea." Julie chuckled, her laugh a musical sound that encapsulated the warmth of the moment. As they began to walk toward the food stalls, Emma felt a sense of buoyancy. The sunlight danced on her skin, and with every step, it felt like she was leaving behind old shadows. The weight of the past faded slightly. It was not gone, but it was manageable. "Guess I'll be more than the blind girl from now on," Emma joked, allowing herself to imagine what that could mean. With a small smile, she leaned in closer to Julie. "What if this moment is just a beginning?" Before Julie could respond, the commotion of the crowd suddenly shifted. A flare of laughter erupted just a few steps ahead, followed by gasps and whispers that swept through their group. Emma froze as she heard a voice, a familiar one, laced with mockery cutting through the joy like a knife. "Look at them, the dysfunctional duo putting on a show." Emma's heart sank. She recognized the voice immediately. It was Rachel, an old classmate known for her sharp tongue and cruel wit. The laughter swelled around them, and in that moment, the air changed, tinged with the kind of embarrassment that threatened to pull Emma back into her shell. "Oh no," Emma whispered, sensing the collective shift in mood around her. Julie's grip on her hand tightened, the warmth now feeling like a shield. "Just breathe, Emma," she said softly. But even her voice held uncertainty, and suddenly, the fragile ground they had just begun to tread felt like shifting sand beneath their feet. "Can we really stand together in the face of this? How do we fight back?" Emma thought, searching for strength. Would this moment redefine them or break them anew? And as Rachel's laughter echoed once more, Emma felt a battle brewing, not just against the words flung at them but against her own spiral of shame and fear. She knew what she had to do next, but the question loomed: could she find her voice in the chaos? Emma's heart raced as she sensed everyone's eyes dragging her into the spotlight, the laughter wrapping around her like a suffocating shroud. It would have been so easy to shrink back, to fold and hide from Rachel's stinging words, but something stirred within her. Why should I let her words define me? She turned to Julie, their hands still clasped together, a silent promise of solidarity. Julie nodded subtly, her eyes encouraging. This was a moment that could either break them or propel them into newfound strength. Taking a deep breath, Emma squared her shoulders. "You know, Rachel," she called out, her voice echoing across the crowd, "if you're going to mock us, at least have the guts to say it to our faces." Gasps echoed, some surprised at Emma's boldness, others still caught in the tension. Emma felt Julie squeeze her hand harder, as if lending her even more strength. Rachel smirked, flipping her hair, trying to absorb the attention. "Oh, Emma, darling. You think this is a moment of bravery? Why not?" Emma shot back, a mix of defiance and vulnerability in her tone. "Bravery isn't the absence of fear, it's pushing through despite it. You wouldn't understand. You hide behind insults to cover your insecurities." A surprised hush fell over the crowd. Emma's heart pounded, adrenaline surging as she spoke. Each word felt like a release of every timid thought she'd kept bottled for years. Julie's expression lit up with admiration, and Emma could see several members of their group watching with rapt attention, the same people she had worried about moments before. This wasn't just about Rachel anymore, it was about the courage to be herself. Rachel fumbled momentarily. "How pathetic to think that's your big moment." Emma let out a small, sarcastic laugh. "On the contrary, it's pretty pathetic to pick on others to feel better about yourself. You should at least try being real once in a while." The crowd began to murmur, eyes darting between the two women. Emma had launched herself into the unknown, and as scary as it felt, it was also incredibly freeing. "Keep hiding behind your cruelty, Rachel," she continued, her voice clearer now. "While I'll be out here making real friends, feeling real feelings." A few people in the audience clapped, slowly at first, then rising. It was an unexpected surge of support that enveloped Emma like a warm hug. Rachel's expression faltered. Her bravado cracked as she sneered, "You're just a blind girl trying to be something she's not." With a calm breath, Emma met Rachel's eyes, her voice steady. "And yet, I've just stood up to you, something you could never accomplish in your life." Laughter erupted, this time not mocking but triumphant. Emma felt herself floating, buoyed by the realization that this might be the first time she had truly stood up for herself. "Wow, Emma, you were amazing," Julie whispered, pride dancing in her tone as the applause faded. Emma expected the relief, but the surprise was in how proud she felt. The weight pressing down on her was starting to lift, piece by piece. "Let us get that ice cream," she declared, pulling Julie towards the food stalls amid the lingering buzz of conversation. As they walked away from the confrontation, Emma's heart still raced, not from fear, but from exhilaration. "Maybe Rachel was right about one thing," Emma said, a teasing lilt sneaking into her voice. I really am trying to be something more than what anyone thought I could be. Julie chuckled lightly but then grew serious. Just know, there will be more moments like this. Are you ready for them? Emma paused. The truth was, she didn't know what lay ahead. Would there be more challenges, more voices trying to drown her? But as they rounded the corner to the stall laden with ice cream, she decided then and there, let them come. Because whatever happens next, I'm not backing down. And like that, the next wave of laughter hit them, but Emma stood firm, ready to ride the tide. Then, just as she was about to pull out her money, a familiar face crested the crowd, a face she hadn't seen in years, one that sent a flicker of dread through her veins. Emma. The voice was soft but carried the weight of gravity that stopped her in her tracks. Turning, she found herself staring into the eyes of the person she had longed to see and avoided in equal measure. Why are you here? Emma's voice trembled, uncertainty gripping her tightly. Was this a chance for reconciliation, or would it open old wounds she'd rather keep sealed? Emma stood there, frozen as the world around her blurred. The noise of the festival dimmed, the laughter and chatter fading into a dull roar. All that mattered was the figure looming in front of her, a figure from a past she thought she had left behind. Emma, it's been so long, Laura said, her voice soft yet laced with something Emma couldn't quite place. Was it regret or a false sense of warmth? Emma's heart raced, a storm brewing within. Yeah, it has. I didn't expect to see you here. The words came out sharper than she intended. Laura smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. I was just passing through town. Heard about the fair and thought. Perhaps she hesitated, as if searching for the right words. Perhaps it was time to reconnect. Reconnecting. The word lingered in the air between them like a fragile glass ornament, ready to shatter with the slightest touch. Emma couldn't help but think of the moments when Laura's absence felt like an open wound. She had always craved a mother's love, but when Laura had walked away years ago, it felt like a door slamming shut. Julie stood beside Emma, her expression shifting from surprise to concern. Maybe this isn't the best time, she whispered gently, placing a hand on Emma's arm, but then, something flickered inside Emma. Could she really walk away from this moment? You came here to see me, why? Emma asked, her voice steady, each syllable laced with a mix of vulnerability and strength. What do you want? Laura flinched slightly, her facade cracking. I wanted to apologize. For everything. I was young and scared. I didn't know how to be a good mother. Good mother? Emma felt anger welling up inside her. You left when I needed you. You chose to walk away and never looked back. A couple nearby glanced over, clearly intrigued by the escalating tension. Emma felt the heat rising to her cheeks, but she couldn't stop now. She had just found her voice. She wouldn't let it be swallowed by the past. Laura reached out, as if trying to bridge the chasm between them, but Emma stepped back, shaking her head. You don't get to just come back after all this time and act like everything is fine. Emma, please. Laura's voice wavered. I've changed. I've been working on myself, trying to become a better person. I thought maybe we could be a family again. Emma interrupted, her heart pounding as the thought sparked a glimmer of hope. But that hope faded quickly. She was no longer the girl who needed a mother's validation. She had found strength on her own. I don't know if I can forgive you, Emma said, her voice lower now, yet firm. You can't just erase all those years. Laura looked pained, but Emma felt a strange sense of freedom emerge. It was as if shedding the weight of unspoken words had unshackled her. Her eyes darted to Julie, who nodded encouragingly behind her. This is your decision, Emma. You deserve to be heard. I've discovered who I am. I've realized that I don't need your approval or your presence to go forward. Emma took a step back, feeling the distance between them solidify. If you want to be in my life, it has to be on my terms. Otherwise? Laura prompted, desperation creeping into her voice. Otherwise, you can walk away again. Emma forced out the words, each one tasting bittersweet. In that moment, she understood that regaining control over her story was the ultimate act of bravery. She didn't have to decide everything now, but she wouldn't be a passive figure in her own life anymore. Laura's expression shifted as if the realization hit her. Emma. But before she could finish, Emma turned away, seeking the comforting presence of Julie, who stepped in beside her. "Are you okay?" Julie asked softly, concern etching her features. "I don't know," Emma admitted, tears pricking her eyes. "But I stood up for myself." "You did," Julie affirmed. "And that's huge." As they continued towards the food stalls, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter with Laura was just a prologue. What lay beyond this moment? What if her mother truly had changed? What if this was the beginning of something new? The echo of unfinished conversations trailed behind her, while the sweet scent of ice cream beckoned. But with every step forward, she felt a weight holding her back, and deep down, she knew this wasn't over yet. Next time, can I really open my heart again? Emma pondered, gazing at the crowd ahead, her heart pounding with anticipation and doubt. The festival buzzed around Emma as she and Julie made their way through the crowds. Colorful banners swayed gently in the breeze, and laughter mingled with the aroma of fried dough and roasted corn. Yet, all of that faded to the background as Emma replayed her conversation with Laura in her mind. "Did you see the look on her face?" Julie asked, trying to lighten the mood, but Emma wasn't ready for laughter. "Not yet. I don't know what to feel, Julie. I don't know if I can handle this or wanting to reach out after all this time," Emma replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "Maybe you don't have to decide anything right now. You took a big step talking to her." "That's enough for today," Julie said, squeezing Emma's hand reassuringly. Emma nodded but remained lost in thought. The weight of Laura's sudden reappearance loomed heavily over her. Was she really ready to explore the possibility of a relationship with a woman who had caused her so much hurt? The thought of opening her heart again was like standing on the edge of a cliff, staring down at turbulent waters. "Let's get some ice cream," Julie suggested, her cheerful tone cutting through Emma's spiraling thoughts. "It'll help." They compromised on a shared sundae, a towering heap of ice cream topped with whipped cream and colorful sprinkles. As Emma took her first spoonful, the sweet, cold treat brought a momentary smile. But reality soon crept back in. Just beyond the laughter and the sugar rush lay the unresolved feelings surrounding her mother. Julie, sensing her friend's internal struggle, asked, "What do you think she wants, Emma?" "I mean, really?" Emma sighed, watching a group of children dart past them. "I don't know, honestly. Maybe she wants to make up for lost time. Or maybe it's just guilt. How can I trust her now?" "Trust is earned, not given away, remember that," Julie said. Her tone softened, understanding the intricacies of heartbreak and family dynamics. "You can take your time. Just because she's in town doesn't mean you have to let her back in right away." "Right," Emma replied, her resolve firming up slightly. The truth was, she had built a life without Laura, and it had taken time, grit, and a lot of tears. But the possibility of reconnecting, of mending that severed bond felt equally tantalizing and terrifying. In the midst of their conversation, they decided to move towards the stage area where a dance performance was about to begin. The upbeat music filled the air, and vibrant lights danced across the crowd. Emma found herself caught up in the energy, the rhythm pulling her into the moment, if only for a little while. As the performances began, something in Emma stirred. The emotions she had been holding back reshaped themselves into a fierce determination. With every leap and twirl on the stage, she saw reflections of her own journey, the struggles, the strength required to stand tall amidst the storm, and the hope that hadn't yet flickered out. "I think I'm ready to talk to her again," Emma said suddenly, surprising Julie. "I need to know for sure if she's really changed or if it's just words." "Just be careful," Julie warned gently. "You're strong, but don't let her into your heart unless you're sure you want that." "Yeah," Emma replied, a mixture of eagerness and anxiety bubbling within her. The adrenaline coursed through her veins as the dancers leaped higher, twirling in blissful abandon. Maybe she could find her own sense of freedom too. As the performance came to a close, applause erupted around them, and Emma clapped fervently. The energy was infectious, and for the first time since the encounter with Laura, she felt a swell of possibility. But what if, in diving back into this relationship, she opened herself up to more heartache? Was it brave or reckless to revisit what once caused her so much pain? With the thought, her heart raced. She recognized this would be no easy path, but she also realized she could face whatever came next. Tomorrow, she whispered to herself. I'll face her tomorrow. As they made their way towards the exit, an unexpected thought crossed Emma's mind. Would she have the courage to face Laura again? And what could that meeting unleash? Morning light streamed through Emma's bedroom window, casting warm, golden rays across the room. The festival had faded into memory, but the mix of excitement and dread that buzzed in her heart remained. Emma sat on the edge of her bed, a swirling tempest of emotions swirling within her. Today, she whispered to herself, her voice trembling slightly. She glanced at her phone, the screen flickering with notifications from friends and family, but it was one message that mattered most, the one from Laura. Memories of their shared laughter, the warmth of old hugs, and the pain of betrayal washed over her like a wave. Okay, Emma. You've got this, she coached herself, pulling in a deep breath. It felt like a leap off a cliff, the air charged with possibilities and fears. After grabbing a quick breakfast, she put on a light sweater, something comforting yet presentable. She spent a moment at the mirror, straightening her hair and wiping away the shadows that had crept into her eyes. Today was not just another day, it was a chance to shape her future. The cafe where they had decided to meet was buzzing with life. As she approached, familiar scents of freshly brewed coffee and baked goods enveloped her. It felt oddly comforting, yet the knot in her stomach tightened. Pushing through the door, she spotted Laura sitting at a small table in the corner. Her heart raced at the sight of the woman who had once been her entire world. Laura looked different yet the same. Time had softened her features but etched worry lines across her brow. Emma hesitated, memories flooding her mind, the anger, the disappointment. What did she want? Gathering her courage, Emma stepped closer. Laura's head snapped up, her eyes wide as they locked onto Emma's. Emma, she breathed, her voice thick with emotion. Hi, Emma replied, keeping her tone steady despite her trembling heart. She slid into the seat opposite her mother, a chasm of silence stretching between them. At first, all Laura did was stare, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. I didn't know if you would come, she finally said, her voice trembling. I wasn't sure if I would either, Emma admitted. I just needed to see you. A moment passed as the weight of those words settled heavily around them. Emma's resolve began to falter under the intensity of Laura's gaze, filled with both hope and regret. I'm sorry, Emma. I've thought of you every day, Laura said, her voice cracking. I know you have, Emma replied, her heart aching at the rawness of her mother's remorse. But words aren't enough anymore. I need to know what you really want from me, from us. Laura reached across the table, tentative, as if afraid any sudden move might shatter the fragile moment. I want. The door chimed as it opened abruptly, causing both women to turn at once. A young girl with a bright smile rushed in, her ponytail swinging behind her like a flag of joy. She was followed closely by a man Emma recognized, a familiar face from the past. Just behind them drifted someone Emma never expected to see. Laura! The girl exclaimed, her voice ringing through the cafe. It's so good to see you. Emma's heart dropped. The way they embraced, there was warmth and familiarity. It was an innocent happiness that sent a sharp sting through Emma's chest. The world around her blurred momentarily as reality pressed down hard. What did this mean? Who was this girl? Her thoughts raced, clouding her vision until she felt dizzy. Laura turned back to Emma, her eyes wide with alarm and an apology that hung in the air unspoken. Emma, wait! But Emma was already standing, her heart pounding in her ears. The cafe erupted in chatter, but all she could hear was her own breathing, quick and sharp with confusion. "Why didn't you tell me about her?" Emma asked, needing to understand but feeling overwhelmed. "I couldn't. It wasn't the right time. I didn't want to hurt you more. You deserve to know, I promise." Laura's voice took on a frantic edge, but Emma couldn't process the words. Outside, the world spun with the joy and chaos of the festival still lingering, and Emma felt completely lost. Was now the time to uncover more layers of her mother's life? Would she unravel more pain, or find the truth she had so desperately sought? As she stepped into the bright sunlight, her heart raced with uncertainty. Would she be strong enough to confront the new reality that had just walked into her life? And what would it reveal about Laura that Emma had never imagined? Emma stepped outside, her heart a wild drum in her chest, pounding with confusion and hurt. The warmth of the sun felt foreign as it kissed her skin, contrasting sharply with the chill spreading through her heart. The cafe buzzed behind her, filled with voices, life, and a laughter that felt like a cruel mockery of her own turmoil. She could still see Laura and the young girl who was this new, bright spark in her mother's life. Emma's mind raced, a tempest of questions crashing against the shores of her understanding. Had Laura moved on so easily? Did she even think of Emma during those years? The raw sting of betrayal dug deep, yet a flicker of hope dared to rise. Maybe, just maybe, this meeting could lead them to something they both desperately needed. Taking a deep breath, Emma turned back, ready to confront the uncertainty. She had found her voice once, a voice strong enough to defy judgments and confront hurt. With determination, she stepped back into the cafe, her breath steadying as she paused to digest the scene playing out before her. Laura caught her gaze, desperation reflected in her eyes. "Emma," she started, but this time the words formed a wall of fear between them. The girl, with her carefree laughter, was busy chatting away, blissfully unaware of the tension surrounding her. "Who is she?" Emma's voice was steady, a calm in the underlying storm. "What is her name?" "Lila," Laura replied softly, glancing back toward the girl. She is my daughter." The words fell between them like a fragile thread, ready to snap. An ache settled deep in Emma's chest, the hole left by Laura's absence suddenly wider, echoing with the presence of someone else. "Your daughter?" Emma blinked, fighting the tears welling in her eyes. "You didn't tell me about her. But here you are, in the same town, in a coffee shop. You didn't think to mention you had a daughter when we talked about reconciling?" Laura's face softened with a mix of regret and trepidation. "I thought we could build our relationship first. I didn't want you to feel what? Replaced?" Emma interrupted, her emotions finally spilling over into her words. "You did that when you left. What did you think I'd feel seeing you with her? That I'd be happy for you? That I wouldn't wonder why I wasn't enough?" The tension in the air thickened. A few cafe patrons looked over, curious, caught in this moment that felt raw and deeply personal. Yet, for Emma, this frustration was a release, a chance to voice the struggles she felt. Laura looked hurt, her face etched with sadness. "I wanted to protect you from the pain of my choices. I wanted you to know that I was always thinking of you. Yet you never tried to reach out." Emma's voice softened. The truth hung in the air, tinged with regret. "You just disappeared. I spent years wondering if it was my fault. I know. I was wrong. So wrong. I'm here now, and I'm trying to change," Laura pleaded, her hand trembling as she reached toward Emma, but hesitated before actually making contact. Struggling for composure, Emma looked over at Lila, who was now drawing pictures on a napkin, her essence full of innocence and warmth, a stark contrast to the heaviness in this moment. "What if I'm not ready to let you back in?" Lila suddenly looked up, giggling as she caught Emma's eye. "Your hair is so pretty," she exclaimed, her bright smile easing some of the tension. "See, that's why I love Lila," Laura said, smiling with pride at her daughter. "She brings light wherever she goes." At that moment, Emma felt an impulsive wave of warmth wash over her. Could she really turn her back on the possibility of healing? Could Lila, in her innocent joy, be a step toward understanding Laura, and perhaps even toward embracing her own pain in a new light? Can you tell me more? Emma found herself asking, her breath steadying. About her. About you. Laura's face lit up, the despair lifting just a bit. Of course. I want you to know about how she fits into everything, how you fit into everything. As the sun streamed through the cafe windows, creating a halo around them, Emma felt a thread of hope unfurl within her heart. Maybe this conversation could lead to something new, not just for her, but for all of them. That open air and those candid smiles felt like a promise, the kind she was learning to trust again. I want to understand, Emma said softly. But it'll take time. I'm willing to wait, Laura replied, her voice rich with sincerity. Just give me that chance. We'll take it one step at a time. Together. Emma took another deep breath, feeling a shift inside her, a crack forming in the once impenetrable shell of her heart. Meeting life's chaos with resolve, she nodded. Together, she echoed, ready to face the new world taking shape around her. As moments passed, the tension danced lightly in the air, transformed by possibility, new aspirations, hearts trembling with hope. It was a new beginning, fragile but emerging. And somehow, in that cafe filled with laughter and a brighter future, Emma knew she was ready to embrace this uncharted territory of family, love, and understanding. Now was the time for connection instead of heartache, to step into the beautiful chaos that lay ahead. But let's not forget, your story is still unfolding too. So, what are you waiting for? You need to subscribe now to join the next adventure, because you won't want to miss the life-changing stories we'll uncover together. Leave a like right now to help spread hope. Comment below your thoughts and feelings, your voice is just as important. And don't wait not even one more second, share this video with at least 5 friends who need a little inspiration in their lives. Let us journey forward together.